Crimson Desert is a lie. It's not even a desert most of the time, did you know? In any case, today we're watching Crimson Desert is not worth $70. Admittedly, not a lot of things nowadays are worth $70, but let's check it out. Let's see if there's any actual real decent arguments, except that, the classic, oh, the controls are not easy and it's too hard for my diabetic brain to handle this. Or, I expected a story driven game with something like Red Dead Redemption 2, and I did not get it. Which is, how are there so many people who honestly expected this? And honestly, everyone kind of understood and kind of knew that Crimson Desert story is not going to be anything to write home about.
Hello there. I am the real life fake wizard. The long awaited Crimson Desert is now available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 5. What was once part of my top 10 most anticipated games of 2026 is here, and frankly, I'm not impressed. This $70 AAA game has many problems that are documented, structural, and verifiable. For example, the controls.
Oh my god, structural, verifiable. Damn, do I need to bring out the Encyclopedia Britannica? Holy big words.
Are so archaic that the developer has already made a public apology and said that they are working on some kind of patch. The story is more like a gentle cough of a story or a sneeze of a story, and according to the company's own developers, was not finalized until right before the game shipped.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
The lighting and brightness options in this game are either too dark or too bright, and trying to find a Goldilocks point could take you 90 minutes of fine-tuning as it took me. I also had to go through two different monitors, the first being a 2023 4K television.
Okay, that's a legitimate problem, but I mean, the way that he brings it sounds like a comedy show, honestly.
And the second being a 2025 ultra-wide LG gaming computer monitor. The monitors don't matter much, however, as the footage you're seeing now is recorded directly from my capture card after having made brightness adjustments. So those are three very real talking points that are worth discussing, and yet the single loudest conversation happening around this game right now is not about any of that. It's about whether or not you are allowed to say the game has problems at all. Let me be clear, there are people.
I have absolutely never heard anyone say that, and anyone who says that is obviously completely wrong. Again, on this channel, I advocate for consumers. Well, that's that. Wow, that's a stupid sentence. Anyway, on here on this channel, I advocate for things that are good for consumers. For consumers having the ability to fully express themselves and never be bullied into things. If you want to hate Crimson Desert, I already talked about this previously, but if you want to hate Crimson Desert because it's not a story-driven game that it literally never sold itself as, that is fine, okay? Arguably kind of stupid, because, criticism has levels of accuracy and relatability and correctiveness. So, you have the right to dislike Crimson Desert because it doesn't have a story campaign that's good. It's one of the stupider reasons to dislike it, but if you do, that's fine, and no one can honestly say anything bad about it. You have the full right. And anyone who tells you you're not right for doing it, you are. You are. Even though it's not good criticism, it is criticism. And as a consumer, you should always not be afraid to speak your mind if you like or dislike something.
People who are genuinely enjoying Crimson Desert. You might be one of them, and I am jealous of them. I have a lot of friends who are loving this game, and I see their gameplay and streams, and they are having a great time. I too wish I could be having a great time. That being said, just because some people love the game, and we're happy they do, does not dismiss the glaring problems with the game. If this were a $40 title and it was made by a AA development team, I think I would be more forgiving. I might even defend it, give them another chance. But this is a $70 game, and after taxes, I have now paid $76 to get a game that I cannot see. I might as well close my eyes.
Now, to be honest, this is the first problem that I see it's this bad for anyone. There's always someone for who this is a problem in games, but man, I have not seen other people actually complain about this bad. That's kind of insane.
And press buttons because in some cases, it's the same kind of experience. The community warfare around Crimson Desert is actively burying the conversations that matter. I don't care what the Access Media and their reviews have to say. I care about what the paying customer gamers are saying, and many of them are echoing similar criticisms to me, but they're being harassed as fans white knight for this game. Further than that, the developers themselves are posting anonymously on verified industry forums because they cannot speak openly about the problems they watched happen from inside, confirming that there are plenty of problems and even the developers are talking about it. All the noise surrounding Crimson Desert.
There are okay. So this already feels like an over-exaggeration, honestly. Yes, Crimson Desert has problems. Are they that actually bad? No. Absolutely no. If it was this bad, then then Crimson Desert would actually have like a 50% viewer score ratio. But currently it's climbing and it's above 70 on Steam DB, and it's 77, by the way, on Steam. So, no, these are not problems that everyone is experiencing. There are problems, don't get me wrong. Like, Crimson Desert definitely has issues. And there are already patches out, by the way, adding storage, things that people actually want. The controls are going to be made better, even more better. They already fixed something, I think, in this patch. I didn't check exactly, but I know they added storage.
Is protecting the corporation from accountability. And I don't know why you'd want to cover Pearl Abyss's ears, because if they patched these problems or improved the performances, this game could be better if you're one of the people that actually enjoys it in its current state. But in its current state, Crimson Desert is not worth $70. Today's indie game shoutout is Acid Spy, a first-person stealth action game set in a cyberpunk network back to 2026. Developed by Pearl Abyss over 7 years with a reported production budget of approximately $133 million US. It is a fully priced $70 title, $76 after...
Wait. 130... So actually, it's probably like 200k, and it has already confirmed sold 2 million copies. Oh, they are pretty close. They are pretty close. But I talked about this already previously. I think if they don't sell the 3 million copies by the end of the month, probably they're gonna consider that not that great.
Tax. Within 24 hours, it sold over 2 million copies worldwide. By every surface level metric, this game is a commercial success. Beneath the surface, the product tells a different story. As we mentioned earlier, the controls are...
By the way, if we actually believe the 130 million mark, then the 2 million sales are not actually making it commercial success, by the way, but that's a semantic in this case, because it's gonna become successful very soon. But just that benchmark alone does not make it successful, by the way.
By broad consensus, among some of the worst shipped in a modern AAA release. Steam reviews from players across every language consistently cite a convoluted, unintuitive control scheme that maps dozens of actions to overlapping button combinations. Talking to an NPC requires pressing multiple buttons in sequence. Jumping demands a multi-key input process instead of a single key press. Running requires inertia and double tapping rather than a sustained hold or a single click. These are fundamental design failures in how a player interfaces with this game. If you're playing on PlayStation similar to
To be fair, yes, the fact that running is that convoluted is bad.
Me, you might recognize quickly that this game feels like it was meant to be an MMO, which is confirmed that that is exactly what it was. But also that it was originally planned for PC, which is what it feels like, and it probably would have been best served as a
Yep, there's a reason Pearl Abyss did not show any preludes to any of the console shenanigans. There's a reason they had kept that hidden while they were off showing the PC stuff to everyone. I mean, these are very obviously expected things, right? This is something that even a child should be able to figure out. That a game that shows so much of itself, and yet, for some reason, some inexplicable reason, God knows this reason, I personally do not, obviously, does not show console footage, gameplay, early access, or give keys to that. Maybe there's something wrong with it, but I don't know. Obviously, I can't figure this one out. It's too much for me. You know, my 3 brain cells fighting for last place are already overwhelmed.
PC exclusive. It does not feel like this game should be on consoles. The developer's own PR director responded to these complaints by telling players on X that the controls are, quote, like riding a bike. You just have to learn them. Within 48 hours of...
I mean, to be fair, that is actually super accurate, but you can say that about everything, and that does not mean that that is an excuse to making controls not better. But he is right.
Launch, Pearl Abyss had to formally apologize and announce a patch for $76. I am annoyed. I wish I waited for this game to be patched and got to experience it in its final state. For that much money, I could have purchased 3 to 4 indie games and had a meaningfully better experience with at least some of them. There's a lot of good indie games out there. When the alternative use of the same dollars is objectively superior, that's the market sending a message. Whether anyone is listening is another matter entirely. You know, if the controls were Crimson Desert's only problem, you can file this game under rough launch and move on. But in the days following release, something more revealing has come to light. 2 anonymous developers, one a former Pearl Abyss employee who moved to Nexon, another who claims to still work at the company, posted detailed accounts.
I do not believe the one from Nexon. You know why? Because it's probably extremely easy to fucking figure who that person is. So the person working at Nexon now is so stupid I refuse to believe anything he says. Because that Pearl Abyss is gonna find you. There's not probably a lot of people they let go that can talk about the stuff that person talked and work at Nexon now. If they want to clap his cheeks, they're gonna do it.
Of the game's development on Blind, a professional social network accessible only to verified industry workers. Their central claim is that the story of Crimson Desert was not finalized until right before the game released. According to the former developer, the game originally followed a completely different narrative. A young king named Macduff, later renamed to Cliff, whose throne was usurped with a plot involving political betrayal, a prime minister turned villain, and a struggle to reclaim control of the Crimson Desert's mineral resources. Then, according to this developer, a director was pushed out in an internal power struggle. A new general manager, described as having an art background and functioning as a compliant subordinate, took over and began
this is the Yes Man post, okay.
overturning everything. The story was changed to what it is now, the protagonist was renamed to Cliff, and the narrative was rebuilt at the last minute.
The protagonist was renamed Cliff because internally they thought the name before that sounded evil. Which is true, by the way.
Which is why no story trailer was released, and why the Crimson Desert referenced in the game's own title barely appears in the actual plot. The second developer, who claims to still work at Pearl Abyss, described a corporate culture built on enforced compliance. Oh goody. The company's CEO reportedly announced...
Now, to be absolutely fair, we're not pulling out the Encyclopedia Britannica here, but Yeah, every corporation is like that. If it's not gonna even make a day in the real world. It is what it is.
A quote, inverted pyramid structure with more leaders than rank and file employees. One senior leader allegedly told a developer, "Do you know why you can't be one of us? It's because a leader has to be someone who looks in the same direction we do." In practice, this meant the company only elevated people who said yes,
Yes, that's most companies. Congratulations.
followed orders, and never pushed back. The result here, according to both developers, was a game designed by imitation rather than some kind of clear vision. When The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom released, according to these developers, management added Sky Islands to Crimson Desert, without understanding why those systems existed in Zelda's design. When other popular games
And I'm pretty sure it's still fine, honestly, as hilarious as that is.
featured compelling mechanics, leadership would order them to be replicated in Crimson Desert. Whenever they see a reference from here or there that looks good, they just shove it in. The current developer wrote, "The game became what they described as a hodgepodge of features crammed together," which explains not only the incoherent narrative, but also the nightmarish control scheme. When you bolt on dozens of unrelated systems into a single game without a unifying design philosophy, of course the controls become a disaster. I said this on multiple occasions on multiple streams for weeks leading up to this game. They were over-promising and they're gonna have a hard time delivering, and I'm annoyed that I was right. Perhaps the most damning line came from the developer who still works at Pearl Abyss. Quote, "All the common flaws users point out are the exact things we used to gather and say, isn't this a bit weird? Okay. So the people who made this game knew it was broken. They could not say so, and it was sold to you and me for $70. And worse, this game shipped on consoles that are not even visually optimized for it. So not only does the game not play right, you can't see what you're doing." Pearl Abyss's official statement following the launch included the promise to listen closely to the wide range of feedback shared by the community and work to make improvements quickly. Isn't that reassuring? This language is the industry standard admission that the product shipped unfinished. It is less of an apology and more like a business strategy. The ship now, fix later model has become normalized across AAA gaming. Games launch broken, charge full
Beep that chimney.
price, and promise post-launch support as if ongoing maintenance is a feature rather than an obligation. Gamers have been conditioned to accept this, unfortunately. 400,000 people pre-ordered Crimson Desert on Steam alone, spending over $20 million before a single person could verify the product functioned correctly. Console buyers had it even worse. Not that I trust the journalist to cover this honestly, but Pearl Abyss refused to provide console review codes before launch, meaning there were zero evaluations of the PlayStation 5 or Xbox versions available at the time people were being asked to spend $70 to get this game.
If a console player spent $70 on a game and it didn't work, I honestly don't even feel that bad. Okay, there's a limit how much we support consumers at the end of the day, right? And when it comes to console players, no, it's a little bit worse.
In hindsight, I'd have loved to know this game ran so miserably on the base PlayStation 5, I wouldn't have bought it. This is the pre-order paradox. Gamers fund the development of products they cannot evaluate.
Wait, he was playing this on PlayStation? Well, you should never fucking game on... Again, you should never game on consoles. Now it makes a little bit more sense. The console, by the way, mapping into, you know, the what's it fucking called? Controls is, by the way, the most horrible.
receive those products in incomplete states and are then told to be patient while the seller finishes making the thing they've already paid for. In no other industry would this be tolerated at this scale. You do not pay full price for a car and then wait for the steering to be patched in. You do not buy a finished house, move in, and accept that the plumbing will be added as part of a seasonal roadmap. And yet, in gaming, 2 million people did exactly this in a single day. You know, I kind of want to be a little vulnerable with you here when I say that this game burnt me out, man. I'm really not happy after Crimson Desert. I hope you can tell by my attitude here.
Yeah.
I feel like I got burned. You got all the people arguing over context and substance and gameplay, right? And, you know, the yellow paint argument. And I would love to have that conversation. That's fine and good. We can have that conversation. I just wish I could see what I'm looking at. And for $70 with no refund option, I'm furious about.
I mean, this is valid complaints, honestly, at the end of the day. But at the same time, you're playing it on a console, my dude. A console! You deserve to pay $100 and get less, in my opinion. Again, you should never support consoles. If you want to be a good consumer, someone who actually cares about his own rights and shit, you should never support consoles. What has supporting consoles got you this far? Nothing. Expensive, bad quality, slop. That's what it is. That's what it's gonna always be. Consoles are bad. You should not have bought it on a console to begin with. Now a lot of things make a little bit more sense. I should have noticed this previously because of, you know, the press square to interact fucking button.
About this. AAA gaming as a gamer experience has stopped being fun. I mean, sure, we get some solid games here and there, and we have to wait for.
But I like to play it on a console. Well, shit, what can I say? Tough luck, my dude. In any case, that was a fake Wizard 10 out of 10. Bye.